All right, welcome back. So, in our last explainer, we really dug into the core technology stack you need for a real AI advantage. Today, we're building on that, tackling two absolutely crucial strategic moves: how to accelerate your capabilities with smart acquisitions, and then how to enable your entire organization to actually deliver value with AI. Let's get right into it.
You know, the one thing you just can't ignore in AI today is speed. The pace of change is just relentless. And because of that, trying to build every single capability from scratch completely in-house, for most companies, that's a losing strategy. It's just not realistic anymore. So if you can't build it all yourself, what are you supposed to do?
Well, you accelerate. And that brings us to our fourth big imperative: using mergers and acquisitions, M&A, as a strategic tool to complement your own internal work. This is all about being clever and, well, inorganic with how you grow.
But, and this is a big but, the M&A market for AI is incredibly noisy. It feels like everyone is claiming they have some kind of revolutionary capability. So if you don't have a really disciplined strategic filter, it's so easy to make a very, very expensive mistake. The key is knowing how to cut through all that noise.
And it really comes down to screening for two things, two non-negotiable things. First, does the company have genuinely proprietary data? We're talking about data that just can't be easily copied. And second, do they have real workflow control? Meaning, are they deeply, truly integrated into how work actually gets done every single day?
And this is where the value equation gets really interesting. Look, a company with just data or just workflow, yeah, it has some value. But a company that combines both, that's not just a little more valuable, it's exponentially more valuable. That's the 1-2 punch that creates a powerful, defensible competitive advantage. Which brings me to a really critical warning. You have to learn to look past the slick presentation. There are so many companies out there that are just a shiny interface, what we call an AI wrapper, on top of public models like GPT. They have no unique data, no real workflow integration, and these are the ones you have to avoid. It doesn't matter how amazing the demo looks, there's no sustainable business there. Okay, so here's the bottom line. The right acquisition does two incredible things at once. First, it's like hitting the fast forward button on your roadmap, giving your capabilities that would take you years to build yourself. And second, the very process of finding that perfect target forces your organization to develop the discipline to tell what's a real AI advantage versus what's just market hype. But let's be really clear here. Buying the right company, getting your hands on the tech and the data, that's only half the battle. Seriously, owning the asset is not the same thing as actually unlocking its value. And this leads us right into our fifth and final imperative. Now, this one isn't part of the core tech stack. Instead, think of it as the critical enabler. It's the thing that makes everything else work. You have to redesign your operating model. So redesigning your operating model for this new AI native world really breaks down into three main parts. You've got to map your AI deployment, you need to redesign roles, and you have to build a whole new governance architecture. Let's quickly break each of those down. First up is deployment mapping. This just means looking at every single workflow in your company and asking a fundamental question. Should AI augment this process, or should it automate it? Augment means a human is still in charge, but they have way better information. Automate means the machine just takes over because it's faster, more consistent, and can scale. This map basically dictates everything else you're going to do. Second, and you guys, this one is so important, is role redesign. The biggest value from AI doesn't come from just teaching your current employees how to use a new tool. No, it comes from fundamentally changing the jobs themselves. You move people away from just executing tasks and producing analysis and toward orchestrating AI systems and providing high-level strategic synthesis. It's a huge shift. And let's be really honest about the challenge here. This isn't about adding another module to your onboarding program. This takes real organizational courage. It means literally rewriting job descriptions, changing how you measure performance, and creating entirely new career paths for your people. And finally, governance architecture. To get real enterprise-wide scale, you can't have every team reinventing the wheel. It's just too slow. You need standardized infrastructure, things like shared design patterns, reusable frameworks, and common rules, so that an AI tool built in one part of the company can be easily used by everyone else. So as we start to wrap up this series, let's just zoom out for a second. We've covered a ton of ground, right? The core tech stack, the M&A accelerator, the operating model. So what does it all really add up to? I want to leave you with this one single powerful idea. What we're all going through right now, this is not just another technology shift. It is a fundamental structural transformation of the entire industry.
You see, the companies that are going to define this next era, they won't necessarily be the ones with the flashiest models or the coolest demos. They're going to be the ones that can systemically scale AI across their entire value chain, the ones that treat regulation as an advantage, and the ones that have the courage to completely reinvent how work actually gets done. Because ultimately, real sustainable value and a true competitive advantage in this new world, it's all going to belong to the organizations that successfully build control over these three things: the data, the workflow, and at the end of the day, the final decision.
So the final question I want to leave you with is this. Is your organization just using AI, sort of bolting it on and hoping for the best, or is it truly, fundamentally reinventing itself to compete and win in a completely new era?